Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 439 for the 8th of May. And before I start, I want to talk about the SITREP. So the SITREP, previously I mentioned that I wanted to do a 7 days delay. So apparently, based on feedback, obviously, people think it's a bit too long. 7 days is too long, and my original plan was simply just for archival purposes, but it seems like people still want to watch it, and then they think that 7 days is just way too long. And so I thought of 3 days, then I thought of 1 day. So I think I got to do a 1 day delay. I think it's fair enough, I guess, so that it can still be a content that is meaningful, because what's the problem with the SITREP now is that when I put with such a long delay, what happens is that a lot of people who are not hardcore fans, or people who support the channel in the way that you do, the patrons or the the DPA army, they don't understand what's happening. So if the delay is too long, they kind of get confused, and the view counts is lower, and all these things affects the channel in a bigger way that there's some collateral damage that comes with it. So yeah, that is kind of unintended. So have to kind of manage it in a way that it doesn't seems like a self-pawn. So I'm very glad to have a lot more supporters coming onto Patreon, and I'm very, very appreciative, because it helps the channel to create some kind of cushion. So I did a live stream yesterday, and to really go into details about all these things. But the problem with it is that very few people watch it. So, and that is such a pain. It's like, how do I actually get communicate to my viewers in a more efficient way, that people can really get the message, because sometimes people skip videos. So so for those that are now watching on YouTube, do subscribe to Twitter or Telegram, the DPA's Twitter channel or Telegram. The link is in the description below, to keep track, and to follow the developments, and any information, it does comes to those channels first, and it's a bit hard to communicate to 50,000 60,000 people, and these channels on Twitter is like 20 over thousand, and then on Telegram is around 4,000. It isn't, and even with the YouTube community tabs, it's just not a good way to communicate to people. So it's just a bit hard. Yeah, so I mean, enough of this talk. So let's move on to the SITREP. So let's start off with the biggest thing, which is actually usually the Bakhmut front. So at the Bakhmut front, there is no changes in the front line in terms of within Bakhmut city itself. The fighting is still ongoing over at the Olympic school, and they are also fighting down this road, this area here, and there's some fighting in this direction towards the Paramoha cinema. So fighting is reported at the Bukha College of Olympic Reserve, according to Raiba, in this direction. And then they are also moving south, southwest, along the Chania Kovskoho Street. And then they're also fighting along the Tobuhina Street. And they are also fighting along the Irini Levchenko Street. All the information comes from Raiba, the pro-Russian sources. And on the other side, there is fighting reported towards the Paramoha cinema along the Tchaikovsky Street. The cinema is actually here, so the Russian forces is actually trying to push in this direction. So whether they actually have taken any kind of position around here is unknown. Tentatively is unknown, but the information is that they are fighting towards the cinema. And that's all from the Bakhmut city itself. Outside of Bakhmut, there is fighting reported towards Ivanivsky and Chasiv. Yeah, information is coming from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And then there is bombardment reported at Ivanivsky, Chasiv, or both on on the 8th, reported on the 8th, and then on today's report is also reported at Chastivia. Stuposhki also got shelled. Bodanivka is reported on both days as well, yesterday and today's Russian Defense Ministry report. But otherwise, the front line did not really change. Not much changes. It's a victory day for the Russians and for most of the USSR era countries. So so for those that are in the former Soviet states, happy victory day to you. And for those that do not celebrate, happy Europe Day to you, because Ukraine just declared the today as Europe Day. So moving on, in the Kherson front, at the Kherson front, the Ukrainian Sukhoi 25 was shot down over below Zerka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. And over south of Kherson City, so this is Kherson City, and south of Kherson City, over at this island, Krylik Island. So Krylik Island is actually this island here. This is Krylik Island. So there is this information coming from Gremlin. He said that the Ukrainians actually crossed on 7 boats and they actually landed on the island. So the Ukrainians actually went over and crossed over at the island, and they managed to land. So the Russians actually saw these vessels going over. They reserved and they actually then shelled, and the ships run away. But because they already landed the troops were stranded and then they got shelled. Reportedly, they got all destroyed. So this is actually reported by Remelin. Take it with a pinch of salt. We will see whether it can be corroborated by other sources that something like this happened. But what is significant is that the Remelin reported that the entire mouth of the Dnipro River, which is actually this way up, the Dnipro River, is now under Russian control, fire control, that is. So yeah, just take it with a pinch of salt. Moving on, over at the Zaporizhia line, there is the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant has been shut down, according to information from Ryba, the pro-Russian source. And otherwise, along the line, there is just bombardment. Bombardment is reported at Novodanilivka, Bilohirya, Huiaipo, Mafopil, and Melinivka, as well as the very end at Vremivka at the Velika Novosilka north. So a lot of shelling this time around is all closer to the front line, which means that the Russians are trying to wear down the Ukrainian forces that is coming nearer to the front line. And moving into the Donetsk front, at the Donetsk front, there's shelling reported at Shevchenko and Voleda on yesterday's and today's report. And then within Marinka, fighting is reported at Marinka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Not much information there is. I think most of the pro-Russian sources is they are more into the celebratory mood for the victory day. Over at the Adievka front, fighting is reported west of Novobakhmutivka. So the Russians, it's positional, so it's not really much, not much of an offensive per se. It's not. So just positional fighting. And there, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, there is fighting reported around in the Adievka direction. Whatever that's supposed to mean. And there is a fighting reported at Povomaisky. Otherwise, yeah, that's it from the Adievka front. Moving on into the carmina front. At the carmina front is only just shelling as well. Shelling is reported at Terny, at Toske, at Dibrova on both days, and within the Serebransky forestry. This is according to the Center Group of Forces that reported they have shelled some Ukrainian positions after they captured their movements. And at the Sivers front, shelling is reported at Serebranka, and the Ukrainian Defense Ministry continued to report fighting at Bilohorivka. Most likely it's coming from the south, based on previous days' reports. The fighting here might involve Chechen forces. So previously there was information saying that these are the Akhmat North force. And moving on into the Kupians Svetove front. Down at the Svetove front, we have shelling reported at Stemekivka, and then at Novosilivsky and at Berestove. Berestovic's information shelling is actually reported today. The day before, it was reported that there is Ukrainian recon forces operating, and then they got engaged. So this is what happened over at the SITREP front. At the Kupians front, there is shelling reported at Sinkivka. Reported for both days. The Russian Defense Ministry reported yesterday and today they shelled Sinkivka. Recon action or Ukrainian probing or attack is reported at Sinkivka, and then there is also attacks reported by Ryba that corroborated the information coming from Surya maps that the Ukrainian forces is now at the outskirts of Oshana, or rather they are attacking the Russian position on the outskirts of Vyshana. So the Ukrainians are attacking Vyshana. So no results just yet. So this is basically as per the similar situation as per yesterday. So this is the summary for the day of 439 for the 8th of May. Basically, this is have been a pretty quiet day, it seems. Maybe it's something to do with the victory day. Anyway, thank you for watching. And I apologize if all these changes has screwed up your life. I'm trying to do what I could to make this entire thing work, because it is very dangerous, whatever your YouTube is trying to pull. So anyway, for those that want to know more, do check out the main channel, youtube.com/@DefensePoliticsAsia, and go and check out the latest live stream that was actually recorded yesterday. And in that 2 hours plus 2.5 hour plus stream, I go a lot more into the details and history about DPA's problem with YouTube, and all the situation regarding the reforms and changes, and things that were to come, as well as a lot of opinions about the situation in Ukraine. So because it's a Q&A session. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.